That sound is familiar to all Portlanders who have taken the TriMet system at least once in their life, and that is hop. Excuse the crazy hair, but many transit agencies around the world have some sort of contactless card system to pay for your fare with. London's got the good old Oyster cards. They were some of the first to do these contactless things sometime in the early 2000s, I believe. Toronto's got the Presto cards. New York has the Metro cards that you slide, or a new Omni card that is a contactless version. San Francisco's got the Clipper cards. Seattle has the Orca card. And, well, Portland is no exception. Hop. This is our card. Now, hop is named after the hops used in some local craft brews, as well as from the rabbit. These cards can be purchased and reloaded at tons of stores across the area. Plaid Pantry, Safeway, Fred Meyer, just to name a few. And you can load upwards of something like $230 on one of these. I don't know if you'd ever want to load that much on them in case it gets stolen, but you can do this on their website. You can deactivate cards and all that stuff on their website, or you can do so in the store, or I think also by phone call. All Max and West platforms have ticket machines on them, and if you purchase tickets from those machines, you'll get a paper ticket like this one here. It's similar, but it's paper. You can purchase a 2.5 hour or all-day ticket for one of these, and all-day tickets expire at 3 a.m. in case you're traveling somewhere overnight. These used to expire at 12 a.m., but I believe since the hop system was introduced, they expanded it to 3 a.m. for overnight bus services, which, thanks to COVID, aren't really running much anymore, but still a very nice, handy feature. Now, this is true for both the plastic and paper card versions. You can get a youth, adult, or honored citizen of each, and this one, it just says adult 1 day on the back. Now, when you purchase these, a 2.5 hour ticket for an adult costs $2.50. And when you tap this card on the reader, you're charged $2.50. So no matter what, it starts off as a 2.5 hour ticket. And then, if instead you wanted to buy a 1 day pass, it's just doubled to $5. And so you have a $5 ticket. If you go beyond 2.5 hours and tap with this card, it will also be $5. It charges you automatically based on how long you're out. So as soon as you do 2 hours and 31 minutes and you tap this on a reader, it'll charge you for an all-day pass, but keep tapping because it's your transfers and it's your proof of payment. Honored Citizen or Youth versions of these tickets are half price, so $1.25 for 2.5 hours or $2.50 for all day. There is also another option, and that is to pay using the Hop app on your phone. A lot of people do this, but I do not, because I've heard that that app has had plenty of issues. I just don't really trust it. I trust these cards because I've never had a problem with these, and I've never had a problem with these either, the paper tickets. So, firstly, how do you use one of these? Well, what you do is you load money onto this online. When you first buy the card, you just put some money on it, and then you can do that in a store, at least that's what we did here. And then you can check on the Hop website how much money you have on your card, and you can reload it whenever. Or you can even auto-load on it. But anyway, you load money onto this, and every time you see one of those Hop readers on a Max station, platform, whatever, tap this card on the contactless pad on the readers, and it will ding, and it'll tell you that your fare has been paid. And this will keep track of all fares and transfers automatically. If you are riding exclusively TriMet and you're using the Hop cards, the maximum you will ever spend in a day is $5. And the maximum you'll ever spend in the first 2.5 hours is $2.50. And on reduced fare, it caps at $2.50 for the whole day. Really not that bad. Let's see how it looks actually tapping one of these cards on a Hop reader on a Max platform, as well as tapping on the bus.
Get on
I know, right?
This is something to remember. The buses and streetcars are the only vehicles with Hop card readers in them. If you're riding the Max or West, you'll tap on the platform where the Hop readers are. Don't forget that if you're riding all different types of services. First time I had one of these and was on the streetcar, I had no idea where to tap until I heard somebody else tapping. You know, I heard the reader going off in the streetcar, and I was like, oh, that's where they put them on here. So yeah, buses and streetcar, the hop readers are in the vehicles. I was in Seattle earlier this year, and so I have this little booklet thing which stores an Orca card. This is what Seattle's fare system looks like. I really like their transit system, and so of course I have the card still. This actually still has money on it. If I were to go to Seattle right now, this would still work. Well, a question of course comes to mind. What happens if you tap these on a hop reader? Alright, let's try something. Nope, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I thought that this might have worked because it is a contactless system just like Hop, and in fact, I have a couple of videos that show this in my Seattle videos on this channel. The Orca cards are very sensitive. Like, you can hold them a few inches away and it'll still detect the card. So I thought that just might work, but it doesn't. Now this is a contactless bank card. These also work on hop readers. That's another reason why I thought that the Orca card just might work. Contactless cards will work on the readers. Contactless. I've never really liked the word contactless. Not because it's a mouthful, contactless, but because, at least on hop readers and on many contactless systems, you still have to touch the card to the reader, which means it makes contact with the reader. I do not know why it's called contactless. Sure, it's faster and it is very convenient. It's just boop. It doesn't make that noise though, and your fare is paid. Firstly, I need to turn my heater off. It's actually getting fairly warm in here. The sun came out and now it's getting warm. Now let's talk about transfers with the hop card. Transfers are very easy. All you do is you just simply tap the reader every time you're going to board transit. Every single time. Every single transfer, whatever, you tap the card. And if you do so within the first 2.5 hours, all transfers are free. So you spend $2.50 the first time you tap, and it will behave like a 2.5 hour ticket. Or with the case of this, you're just charged the whole day. You have the whole day or 2.5 hour, depending on what kind of ticket you bought. But just be mindful because these will actually expire on the time that they list on here. But if we're just talking the simple plastic cards that you buy at the store, and you can reload, when you tap the first time that day, it's going to treat it as a 2.5 hour ticket, and it'll charge you $2.50 on an adult ticket, or card. And no matter how many times you transfer, you just tap this on the reader, it'll be a free transfer. You can never spend more than $2.50 in 2.5 hours. But keep tapping anyways. It's your proof of payment. After 2.5 hours go by, your next tap, it'll charge you another $2.50 for the $5 adult fare for the full day. And you have until 3 a.m. the next day before it charges you for another day. So now let's say a fare inspector comes in on the max and wants to see your tickets, your hop cards. Simply having the card or whatever is not good enough. Simply having it, cool. But what if I have a 1-year-old ticket in my hand and I just say, oh look, I have a ticket? No, that's not a valid ticket. Of course, they can probably look at the time on the back for paper tickets. But for hop cards, they have a scanner that they will place this on to make sure you have tapped that day and to make sure you're not just along for the ride on an empty hop card with no money on it. I'm actually not sure what these scanners are detecting. I'm not sure if it just simply says whether or not there's even money on these, or when and where you last tapped, or a full history. I'm not sure what the scanners themselves show. I'd have to ask a fare inspector for that, and that'd be kind of a weird question to ask. So I haven't ever really done that. But they have checked before. In fact, I was just on the Max last night and got checked. So they are out and about. I figure now would be a good time to mention C-Tran. Now what is C-Tran? Well, if you look on both of these tickets, C-Tran. If you've never heard of C-Tran before, it's probably because you do not live in Vancouver, Washington. If you do live in Vancouver, Washington, then you're probably familiar with this already. But it is connected to the hop system. Some buses use equal fare pricing as TriMet does, so $2.50 or $5 for the whole day on C-Tran. So you can even use your hop cards on C-Tran services and still be charged the same amount. However, the longer distance buses are more expensive, so be mindful of that. If you tap your hop card on a service that is more expensive, it is going to charge you more. It's not too much. I'm going to link this in the description, but here is the fare chart. It's kind of a lot of numbers, but C-Tran has its own section on there, and you see you can spend a little bit more in a given day. Speaking of links in the description, I will link 2 other things down there as well. One of them is just simply the Hop website, so you can see what it looks like, and in case you want to get started and buy a Hop card from a store and load it and get started. If you are riding buses, and say you live nowhere near a MAX station to where you can buy one of these tickets, now you no longer have to go onto the bus, drop your coins in, no, you can just have one of these and tap it. Super easy, super fast. So let's make up an example here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in. Hello. Okay, we're going to make up an example here using my map. This is not going to be very easy to see, we're just kind of throwing this out there, but let's say I was going to use this hop card for the first time and wanted to see how this worked. So let's say I lived at the Goose Hollow MAX station, like within walking distance. That's right around here. And I wanted to end up at Mount Tabor Park, which is off of Belmont on the east side. Well, what I would do, I'd get to my MAX station and I would tap the card right on the reader at Goose Hollow and hop on the train. Now there are multiple ways of doing this, but let's just do it this way. I'll exit at Northeast 7th Avenue, which is in the Lloyd District on the east side. Well, there's no need to tap again, you just tap once because it's a flat fare system, so you just tap before you board. Okay, so I exit at Northeast 7th Avenue. So now I'll walk over to the streetcar platform, which is on 7th Avenue, and then let's say the streetcar shows up, I'll go into the streetcar and tap my card again, because I've boarded a new vehicle. It's a free transfer because I've done so within the first 2.5 hours, so it'll be a free transfer. Then I take the streetcar from there all the way down to MLK and Morrison, and I'll exit there, and then I'll board the line 15 bus on whatever the nearest stop is. And then at the front of the bus, there's a hop reader there, I'll tap, and as long as I'm doing that within the first 2.5 hours, it's still a free transfer. And then I'll exit the bus at Belmont and 50th or 60th or whatever, and then Mount Tabor's right in there. And there you go, I've arrived at Mount Tabor for $2.50 with 3 taps of the hop card. You can actually do this in 2 taps as well if you go from Goose Hollow to Gateway and board the 15 at Gateway back this way and backtrack, but it's longer doing it that way, so yeah. And also doing it the way I just showed you, you also get to ride the MAX, streetcar, and bus. Now, if at any time I want to return back to Goose Hollow, I can. But if you do so, or if you transfer after 2.5 hours, it'll charge you for the full day. But if I'm still doing it within the first 2.5 hours, but if I, say, get back on the bus at Belmont and 50th or 60th or whatever, as long as I do so within the first 2.5 hours, I'm good. So I'm good for free transfers, but as soon as it goes to 2 hours and 31 minutes, it'll charge me for the full day. But yeah, you literally just tap every time you board a vehicle. So I would tap on the 15 bus, I would exit at Grand Avenue or MLK or wherever the stop is there, hop on the streetcar on Grand Avenue, and when I'm on the streetcar, I'll tap again, and as long as it's been within 2.5 hours, it's still a free transfer. If it's been more than 2.5 hours, it's a full day or transfer or whatever. It really just depends on how long you're out. I'm really horribly explaining this, but yeah. Your card, it'll do everything automatically, and it'll even tell you how long it's valid until. So if, say right now it's noon, if I tapped right at noon for the first time that day, like if I Goose Hollow, then it would be valid until 2:30 p.m. and it'll say that on the hop readers. But at 2:31 p.m. it'll just charge you for the whole day if you tap after that point. I really hope that makes sense. So then I exit somewhere up here, and then I'll board the Max at the Convention Center stop. And remember, the Max platforms and West platforms have the card readers on the platforms. And then I'll go from there to Goose Hollow, and I've spent $5 in the whole day if it took me more than 2.5 hours to do that whole journey, or $2.50 if it took me less than 2.5 hours to do that whole journey. So if you're confused, I don't blame you. It's really not easy to explain. Just be mindful of how long you've been out, and the cards and card readers will take care of the rest of the math for you. So now, let's talk about hop card history. Before hop cards were introduced, you had to buy paper tickets similar to this. This is the last ever paper ticket I bought in December 2018. This was what you used. You would buy these from a ticket machine on the station, or you could buy these on buses, or at Pioneer Square you could buy a whole bunch of blank ones. And then, that was it. If you purchased them from a ticket machine or on a bus, actually you might have had to validate them on the bus. I usually just got them for the Max. Actually, I only got them from Max platforms. But you could buy a book of 10 tickets. They were 2-hour tickets, or 2.5 hour later on. But they would have no time up top. But there would be validators on Max platforms, West platforms, everywhere. There would be a validator, so you could just stick this card in there and it would print a time up top that was 2.5 hours after you stuck the card in there. And that's how long it was valid until. It was very simple. This has nothing. It's literally just a paper ticket. In 2014 to 15, TriMet began to look into a solution to phase these out and become more modernized, something that a lot of other transit agencies had been switching to, a contactless fare system. Hop readers began to be installed in 2015 to 16, and beta testing began in early 2017. Whoa, reflection. Let's talk about the technology behind these. The cards use an ISO 14443 RFID system, if that means anything to you. Basically, RFID. In basic terms, it means that the cards can be read and written to without direct contact. The cards are also the same size as a standard bank card. Now, have you ever noticed that sometimes the hop readers will play one ding and sometimes you'll hear 2 dings? What was that all about? Well, when I first got this whole thing, I was just using the paper hop tickets for a while, and so I used to think that 1 ding meant that you used a paper ticket and 2 dings for plastic cards, because every time I boarded a bus I would hear a lot of the 2 ding ones. No. That's not how it works. 1 ding means you've used a standard adult hop card. That's it. Or hop ticket. If basically an adult fare of any kind will have 1 ding on the readers. A reduced fare of any kind will have the 2 dings. TriMet employees get to ride for free, and so because it's also considered a reduced fare, their cards also will ring with 2 dings on the hop readers. There's also an error tone that will play if you need to load money on your hop card, or if you use an expired ticket or some other error comes up. Now, I've never actually been able to trigger any sort of transaction error for, you know, just some sort of error with the system. These seem to be pretty reliable. I've never really had much of an issue. You tap these on the readers and they work. I always hold it like this with my thumb over the middle and just press it right onto the readers. It works every single time. In Seattle with the Orca cards, it was kind of almost 50-50. Sometimes you would do it, it would work. Sometimes it would throw an error on the screen and say tap again. They're very temperamental. The hop ones are almost perfect every single time. Okay, 4 hour. Listen to how loud these are.
Canceled trip. Okay.
So now let's see what all those chime noises look and sound like, because yes, the weirdo I am, I filmed all of these scenarios. Alright, now time for my thoughts. Honestly, I don't really have much to say. I think this system is kind of perfect for what we need. I don't really have many opinions of it. It's a very simple fare card system. Lots of people use it. There are lots of options to pay. It can be used on C-Tran as well, so you don't have to buy a separate ticket for that. Honestly, I like this idea and the idea that Orca used. Orca, one regional card for all. Orca. You can go anywhere with this thing, and it's kind of true here too. You can go up into Vancouver, Washington with these. I want to see the day where these eventually get expanded out into other transit systems. On Chariots, or Point, YCTA, CC Rider, whatever. You could use these cards on everything. I want to see the day where that would be a possibility, because that would make it even easier to get around. The most major thing, in my opinion, that I would change about this whole system is simply the placement of the hop readers on the MAX platforms. I think they should be in the train. I want you to imagine something, and imagine because it has happened to me more than once. You are just kind of out and about, and your hop card's in your wallet in your pocket or whatever. You know that you need to ride a train soon. So you hurry and go over to the platform, and you see a train pulling in, and you don't have time to go fumble for your hop card and tap it on the reader, even though it's the right thing to do. So you just run onto the train, but you haven't actually paid. That's not a good thing. So yeah, I think the hop readers need to be on the trains. That way, if you rush to the train, then you can still get in the train and then pay on the train, just like the streetcar. It works on the streetcar. Imagine missing your train all because you rushed to the platform and couldn't get your hop card in time, and then you finally tap, and then the doors are closing. And what? I missed my train. So I think at least having that as a backup option. You could still keep them on the platforms, but add like one or two in the MAX as well. That way you could tap on the trains. I think that would really help a lot of people. Well, I've overloaded your brain with hop card facts and all of that. I enjoy the system. I think it works really well, and hopefully we'll see some of these improvements that I've come up with that seem to make sense to me. We'll see what the future holds for hop and for transit in the Portland region. I will see you next time.